So I'm gonna like preface this a little bit. So I'm a huge outdoors guy and love watching Animal Planet, Discovery. I've had an encounter with a grizzly bear, a billy goat up on a mountain. I've had some crazy things, cross rivers with crocodiles. But this guy has the craziest animal story I've ever heard told in real life. And funny story behind this is that Casey and I, we first met, and he was quiet, especially at the start. And we're talking, and I'm like, oh, what's the tattoo about? And I don't want to ruin the story, but he goes on to tell me this story about this wildlife encounter. And I'm thinking, I watched this on Animal Planet. This motherfucker's lying to me.
Fuck, I'm just excited to hear it. I don't know the story at all.
The story. And then I find out, like, lo and behold, he was the person on Animal Planet. It was some actor portraying Casey Wright. Not as handsome, but some actor portraying him. And yeah, let's just hear, man. Let's hear this story. So set the stage. Where are you? I want to hear it. Like you've never told it before.
I don't even know. Honestly, it's a story I don't really tell often. Like I kind of, this happened.
Is this a true story? Like an
accident?
accident?
This is a 100% true story. Okay, so
brace yourself, Jimmy.
Yeah. It was kind of going through like quick fact overview. It was 2006. I was 12 years old, and the actual story is we were attacked by a wolf. And so backstory behind it is it's Labor Day weekend. Again, 12 years old. It was the day before grade 8. We were going up, my family, my mom, my sister, my cousin, 2 cousins, Jake and Sarah, and my Aunt Leslie. We're heading up to this place called Bathtub Island, or it's in Catherine's Cove, which is on Lake Superior, about 2.5 hours north of Sault Ste. Marie. So we were heading up there. This is a beautiful beach. It's kind of hidden. A lot of locals know about it. Like the water's crystal clear. There's this nice spot that comes out to a little bit of a point. Reason it's called Bathtub Island. About 200 yards out, there's this rock, like massive rock kind of island in the water. Now in this rock island, there's a small little concave at the bottom, and it fills with water from the waves crashing over it. And then obviously that heats up, and it's warmer water. So it looks kind of like a bathtub, right? Mm-hmm. So people, again, locals from all over kind of go there. It's a beautiful place to go for the day, have a picnic, hang out with friends, do whatever, right? Just an absolutely amazing spot. So that was our plan. Day before grade 8, day before my sister enters high school, we got together, we all got in the car and went out. So we go out to this beach. We have to park. In order to walk into this, it's a provincial park, so you park up in this kind of like parkway. It's about a half hour from where we're actually going to set up camp. So that kind of comes in the story later. And we, grab our stuff, we walk up the beach to this point, and that's where we're set up for the day. So we're there for a picnic. We set up our spot right on the point of this. Again, 200 yards out is this rock island. We go out there, we swim, we jump off this rock, we're having fun. There's one other family there on this rock, but they're having a picnic, on that little island. So we come back for lunch, and now we're all sitting there getting nervous. I haven't told this story, I don't think, ever.
Take a breath. It's intense. I made it kind of light of it, but there's not, this is serious.
I got my elbows on the table. I can't wait to.
We are, just kind of paint the picture. My cousin Jake and I are laying side by side, facing the water. Okay, so we're laying on our stomachs facing the water. We just had lunch. My mom, my sister, my aunt, and cousin Sarah, their head is towards us, facing us.
So it's all kids with your aunt and your mom?
Yeah.
Yes, they're facing back, like head to head. My cousin and I, they're facing towards the woods behind us.
Yeah.
Right, so we're on a stretch of beach, maybe 50 yards long, and then behind that's all trees. That run a few hundred yards out to the road. So we're sitting there. I'm to the left of my cousin, again facing the water, and looking to my left, I see this figure coming down the beach, and it looks like a dog at first. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm watching this black dog walk down the beach, and as it gets closer and closer, I'm kind of starting to clue in my mind, like, either this is a big fucking dog, or as it gets closer, I'm like, that's a wolf, like it's a timber wolf. So this thing's coming up, and it's getting closer, and all of a sudden it's walking right behind us. Okay, and I'm in a situation, and says you talk to people after, like, oh, why didn't you just boot it in the face and run?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, you're 12.
So I'm sitting there.
And had you guys being from up north and hanging out in these, had you seen wolves in the wild before? Because that is rare. To see
Not
a
in the
wolf
wild. I've driven past, so we've gone on a lot of fishing trips. You see bears all the time. I think I had seen a wolf before on the side of the road or whatever, but not.
Right.
Not like
on
this.
all the trips I've been on, I've seen bears. I've seen a lot of wildlife, like out in the wildlife, but a wolf is not something you see. I've seen it on the side of the road only, but yeah, so keep going.
It is rare. And so now this thing's walking up behind us, and I'm the only one who spotted this thing. But I like, again, this was a long time ago, but from my memory of it is I remember, don't yell or say anything loud, because what if that
makes you attack?
What will that spark? So this thing comes up behind us, and I'm watching this walk right behind my back. And again, I'm laying on my stomach, so is my cousin next to me, so where you are.
Yeah.
And I watch this thing walk behind us, and now it's standing facing the water right behind my cousin Jake. And, I'm looking at this thing from meter away, and it's just looking there like a proud animal. And then in a split second, it just like chomped down. So all of a sudden, it goes super quick, bites my cousin in the ankle. And I could still hear the chomp of it biting its ankle, just like a dog chewing on a bone.
It's crazy.
And so at this point, I get up to crawl and run away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I feel something on the back of my leg, like high up in my butt. Not in my butt, on my butt. of like a pressure on the back of my leg. So this is coming from my mom's story later. She's across from me where you are. She looks up, and this wolf had picked me up by the back of my leg and dragged me a few feet back towards the woods. And then it went to readjust its jaw or whatever, it let me go, and I ran.
Oh my God. So it was almost trying to drag you into the woods like a fucking alligator would drag somebody to the bottom of water?
Who knows? So it lets me go, and now my cousin and I run directly to the water. So again, some of this stuff is going to be different perspectives. Like my mom told me her side. I've heard everyone's side of it, so I'm piecing most of that together. So at this point, my cousin and I, we run into the water, and now our kind of mindset and goal is, what the fuck's going on? And, I wouldn't have swore, I was 12.
Yeah.
But we're wondering what's going on, but let's get to this island. So at this point, we're running in the water. Now my mom, she's trying to get everyone up and out. The wolf latches onto the back of her leg, and it bites her leg a few times. She's fighting it off. It eventually gets a hold of her hand, almost rips her finger off. And then they continue to fight, and everyone's running towards the water. So at this point, it lets go, and somehow, whether my mom's dragging it or lets go and it's kind of running back and forth between the chaos, we're all in the water. So in between that island I was talking about, that's about 200 yards out, and the beach, you're at about between knee and waist depth the whole walk out. So now we're all kind of scrambled, spread out in the water, and this wolf's just kind of trouncing up and down back towards people. It starts running at, my aunt, and then it gets excited over here and turns that way. Then it gets excited over here, and I remember one point it turned towards me again, and I was running, and I trip in the water and turn around, and I'm staring this thing right in the face. And I'm thinking, like,
this is nuts.
This is nuts. What's happening now? And learn later, if you stare an animal right in the face, it slows down for a second, which who knows if that helped or not. But I stop, and I'm sitting down in the water staring this thing in the eyes, and then my aunt whips it with a towel and then it turns towards her. So that gave, again, now my cousin and I continue to this rock. Okay. So like I had mentioned earlier, there's another family having a picnic on this rock. I'm not 100% sure. I believe there was like 6 people there, right? And so they came out, the dads came out into the water. They had buckets and sticks, and they're trying to make themselves as big as they can because they see what's happening now.
Yeah.
And they're trying to scare this thing off. So now they're in the water helping us get to this rock and trying to scare this wolf off. At this point, it had made its way to my sister. So my sister is 14 at this time, and it eventually latches onto her arm. So ends up getting her arm quite a bit, and my sister is fighting this thing off. So she's punching this thing, fighting it, and she is dragging this thing, battling it in the water. It ends up, either scratching or biting the side of her head, all this stuff, but she eventually fights this thing and drags it off into the water deep enough so it can no longer touch the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Once that happens, it gets off and kind of turns back, right? It has no footing, it's going back. So
slow this down for a second. Your whole family is now out in the water. Take a big breath. I can see you. I can see your chest is pumping. It's a pretty wild, like, no pun intended, wild story. So this whole thing, this whole scenario to where we're at, this has happened in a matter of minutes.
If that.
Yeah.
A matter of
2
like
minutes maybe.
And so like the detail that you're able to remember and like you're worried about the story being jumbled, like that's like there's a lot going on, especially you're 12 years old and this is like so many years ago. And it's crazy the vividness of some of the memories that you do have.
I don't know what I ate for lunch yesterday. I'll tell you the shade of this thing's eyes. I'll tell you, like every detail about its fur. Like there's some things that just.
So some good people came to your assistance.
Yeah,
your
so
sister just thankfully gets out to some deeper water.
My sister beat this thing up like a boss.
And the thing runs back to the beach, or is it staying there?
And now it's still kind of jumping in and out of the water, but it's starting to head back to the beach. Right now. Again, this part's not as clear as everything, but now we're all on this rock island. Okay, this family's with us. Now it's kind of assessing the situation. I remember being on this rock. At this point, I still don't really know that I was bit. And I'm seeing my sister come up, and I'm freaking out because her and my mom are bleeding. There's a lot going on. My cousin's been freaking out because his ankle's been bit. And then we're sitting there, and my mom's kind of sitting between the two of us, checking us over, making sure this and that. That's when she is like, "Are you okay?" Blah, blah, blah. And I remember looking back and seeing the side of my leg, and that with some pretty deep gashes in it. And then that's when I was like, "Oh, shit, I got bit." And so that's when I came to the realization that I had been bit. And then, now we're on this rock. This family's kind of attending to us. And so this is where we parked comes into it. So we're parked a half hour down the road.
Oh, geez,
right?
yeah.
And now this wolf is walking up and down the beach. It's going through, our lunch. It's, ripping the bags apart. It's going through stuff. But it's pacing up and down this beach. And so we're kind of trapped. We don't know what to do. My aunt's wanting to walk through the water, try to make it to the car, but everyone's saying no to that. And we're there. I think afterwards we were there for, 4 hours maybe on that rock, just kind of waiting.
And this wolf just stayed there.
And it'd just, it would be up in our stuff. It would pace down the beach, and then it would come back. And what eventually it happened, there'd be people showing up to this beach, to go for the day. So people would walk in through the tree line, and we would be, and everyone's screaming now, right? Like, get help,
Mm-hmm.
Get out of here. There's a wolf on the beach. Get out of here. Go get help. So then they'd see what's happening, and they would turn around and go. And so again, after a number of hours,
imagine how scary that run back to your car is too.
Yeah.
Like if you were just the people that like you see people out there screaming for help, and you see a wolf on the beach, and now you got to make it half an hour back.
Jesus.
That would be a.
Yeah.
But,
so eventually, park rangers made their way. The wolf had kind of been gone for a little bit, but obviously no one's at this point risking to.
Yeah, it's like a fucking nightmare. You don't know if you should go and the thing's going to come back.
Yeah.
And
then park rangers came onto the beach and, kind of waved us off the rock. And in the distance, I remember hearing gunshots, and they had found it and shot it, obviously. And then, by the time we made our way out of the woods, there was, ambulances, police, everyone there. And they took us to the Wawa Hospital.
wow.
oh my God,
Such an intense
what
story.
a crazy story.
So people understand too. I know a lot of our listeners will probably come through the West Side Forum, and Canadians, we're not carrying guns at the beach. So I know like a lot of you guys are listening. Like, why should you shoot the thing? Well, it's just not something. It's like there's a lot of guns in Canada for hunters, but we don't really like take them to the beach with us. We don't carry them around. So firearms are harder to come by when
And
sometimes for the good, but
it's
also a
not
lot
something
of times
you
for the
prep
bad.
for.
Right.
Yeah, going to the
everyone
beach.
who's up north, like it was a very rare incident, and even now, once we learned about kind of the situation, so
Yeah, let's get into that.
Kind of fill it out was what had happened was this wolf was injured, so it had a fractured leg, it had a broken incisor, so one of its fangs had been missing. So what they assume would happen, it was with a pack. It had probably
It's a week, so got
it could have been
kicked
they
out.
could have been attacking a moose or something. It got
Yeah.
booted in the face, broke its leg, and then packs move on. Right, they leave this. Now, the weird situation with this was usually animals in this instant are not comfortable around humans, especially an injured animal. But what had happened is over time, because this wolf was kind of living up near the highways, is people are throwing stuff out of their cars. At times, people might have been even feeding this thing, seeing it on the side of the road, stopping, throwing something at it, right? Which started to make it potentially comfortable to
Around people,
approach
yeah.
a group of people, right? So that was a part of it. We found out later that maybe an hour before us, this wolf had actually attacked a young girl earlier that day.
Wow, I didn't know that part of the story.
So there was this was like our story was pretty insane, but this one was like almost like this young girl, I believe she was, I want to say between 2 and 4.
Oh my god.
Was walking with her grandparents through the woods, and this wolf jumped out from the woods and grabbed this girl by the arm. And I don't know a lot about that side of about this story, but being a grandparent in that situation,
Holy fuck.
that girl was obviously okay afterwards, like she was fine, but this wolf had already done that earlier this day. And then it's just crazy. It's
Jesus.
Integrity, passion, resilience. That's what this place was built on. That's what our community is founded on. Don't act like the example, just be the example. This is the home of the greatest fitness community in the world. We're trying to create strong, able bodies, resilient to injury with a gas tank to get shit done. If there's one thing from this podcast, it's about taking immediate action. Find the problem, fix the problem. This is your opportunity. It's either a hell yes or a fuck no. It's that simple.
You're ruining the Tango One podcast.
Now is the time to take action. Now's the time to do more and be more.